Okay, my outstanding friends, once again, a Roger ramble. I'm just going to sort of throw this all out at you and see what you think about it. And then I will answer questions, probably tomorrow, about things that, I maybe won't make clear. But I'm going to show you, these are all feet. That's a foot, this is a foot, that's a foot, a different one. This one here is the same one as this one here. But you see how this one has just a round front, totally round. I call these no-toes. The toes are built in. These have sort of toes. They're here, but you don't really see them the way you see the toes in our feet. They're sort of covered. Now, this is just totally rounded front. I have several other styles of feet too. Now, instead of having bones inside of them, some of them have these springs. You see this heel in the back? Well, I'm going to be showing this in great detail. There's the heel, there's the strap coming up to where the bone would be coming down. Here it is right here. There's your heel, there's the strap that comes up, and it would have attached to the bone. Of course, the bone's gone. That's the strap attached to the bone, which is gone. So we are going to be looking at this stuff in great detail. And it's not hard to see if you just open your mind and look at it. And you can see this is blood. This is where blood was pumped down into the foot from above, and now there's algae or moss growing in there. That's what happens. They love blood. They will, and it's still in there. Obviously, it's growing there. I haven't fed it. It's just, this is sandstone. It shouldn't have any nutritional value. You wouldn't think. So it's obviously sucking something out of here. It's been here in my shop probably close to 10 years or so. And then, of course, I showed the giant hair follicle, which I say this is 500 times bigger than a human hair. If this was from a human. I have no idea what it's from, but there's the sebaceous gland. There's the erector pili muscle that makes your hair go up on end like that, so you can get scared. And there's the vein and the artery in the bottom, and it's a flat-sided, curly-haired person, or whatever it was. All I'm doing is looking at the anatomy. I go for anatomy. That's a bone. It's not a stone. It was a bone. I guess it is a stone. Now, that right there is the only bit of bone that's left. I don't know if you can even see that little white spot. I look at this stuff very, very carefully in a microscope, so I don't miss a whole lot. And there is a whole lot to see. I mean, Caesar, he's seen almost everything now. And, I have the right equipment to see these things, and I'm motivated. So if you would like to also get a grasp on reality, which I'm going to tell you right now, if you think you're following mainstream and you're following the science, you are just lost in as deep of a lost area as you can possibly be. Because not only is it wrong, there's no desire to make it right. None. Zero. That's where I come in. I could be wrong. When I'm wrong, let's talk. But if you don't talk, all I get from people is, oh, that guy's an idiot. Oh, this is wrong. Oh, that's wrong. This is wrong. Well, why? Explain that to me, monsieur. What I want you to do is take a very close look at what you are looking at and think very carefully about what you see. Now, you're seeing that green spot right there. Well, what is that? Well, it's moss. And it's growing out of a sandstone block. Literally a sandstone block. That's what anybody looking at that would say. Roger, that is a sandstone block. And I would say, that's an interesting observation. I say, no, my friend, that is a foot. And these, my friend, are toes. This is the process of mud fossilization, and this died in the Great Flood, as they all did, with a completely flat spot, just like that. Now, the reason this is growing grass, moss out of here is that's what there's still red blood in that thing. And that's what the thing is living on. It's been sitting here in my shop for 10 years. It's just bone moss out there. It doesn't need much light. And this is the structure of the toes and so forth. We're going to look at this in a microscope, but you're going to see how flesh can literally turn to sandstone. No problem at all. It's the conditions that the rock itself finds itself in that determines what is going to be the outcome. That's just flesh. It's a rock, but it's as close to being raw meat as you can get. That's it right there. Now, what is this? I showed this the other day. This is a hair follicle. That's a hair follicle, and I'm not kidding you. That's the erector pili muscle. It goes right up like that to flesh. That'll make your hair go up and down. That's the hair right there. And this is from a red-haired person or a person with curly hair because it has a flat spot. I'm not kidding you. I did the research on it. No question whatsoever what this is. And I did the calculations. This would equate to approximately a person, if this was a human hair, the ball of a human hair, this would relate to a person that was approximately 3,000 feet tall. That's over half a mile. That's, full grown. And that's the hair at the end. I showed this. This blew me away because I put it up and I said, Jesus, got a funny flat spot in there and I can't figure out why. And everybody, well, not everybody, but I had a whole batch of people say, yeah, my hair is curly and it's got a flat spot. So, of course, I started looking, sure enough. Every single anatomical detail is absolutely unbelievable. That's the pili, oops, where is it? That's the pili muscle right there. And it reaches up. That's why your hair could stand up on end. Anyway, let's get into this. We got to really start to understand what we're dealing with here. Let me step back and try to explain how I'm going to deal with trying to spread this information. Because every time I post something, I get, oh, that guy's crazy, la, la, la. Well, I go through the comments. So I think maybe that's the way to do it. Just go put it up, and here's what I'm saying. And then I go through the comments and say, well, this guy said this guy said that, and I'll address each one of them. If they have any validity to them. The thing I'd like to just ask is that you stay with material evidence, that's all. Sebaceous gland. It's exactly on the opposite side of the erector pili muscle. Isn't that something? That's just amazing. And the inside is where the hair wraps down around, it comes back up and goes up and grows out through your skin. Absolutely stunning. Okay, this was going to be about Devil's Tower, but I think I'll just give a very brief introduction to Devil's Tower. But this was all about this root ball right there, that hair ball. You see that? That's the pili erector muscle. It goes right there. And it goes right up to the skin, and that makes your hair be able to do this, stand up on end. Now, this is the muscle attachment right there. On the other side of this is this sebaceous gland. And it's right on the root ball. They show it way up here. It's actually way down here. All right, because this is actually this hair ball. And of course the hair has to come up through the skin a little bit, and then it shoots up and does what it does. And this has a flat side. I think I showed you all this stuff before. And it's got the vein and the artery right here. Right down, same place, exactly. Everything's right. There's nothing that's wrong here. So this shows you that this one here, I've calculated it out to be about 500 times. What do I got here? I'm looking at 500 times our size. If that's about right, and if this was a 6-foot person in our terms, that would mean it'd be 3,000 feet tall. That's over a half a mile. Now, Devil's Tower is even bigger than that. Devil's Tower, I'm going with 1,000 times our size, which is about 6,000 feet tall. So we're going to be getting into that, but this just sets you up to know these things are not just rocks laying around doing nothing. These are body parts. And they all, the ones that I have here, virtually every one of them was from the Great Flood. They all are flat on one side, and even my goose Caesar here. Here's his feathers, and he died, and it's a process called nucleophilic substitution in certain types of hot, and that's the key, hot, salty waters. And then it rinsed itself with clean waters, and then they just dried out and turned into stones. And the boiling process, and it really was almost boiling, and it might have actually been boiling. Velikovsky said that we were almost hit by Venus, and the intense radiation and the impact into our atmosphere basically combusted everything on Earth and just almost killed everything on Earth. And they all ended up flat because in the flood, they died and just turned into stone. And a lot of the organs and all that stuff, like, hold on. Well, they're around here somewhere, but I got all kinds of things. And I've had them DNA tested, and, I had 3 DNA tests done. 2 of them were on giant creatures, and I mean giant, huge creatures. And they were human. And the third one was on the one that basically our size, was a lung. So I'm going to stop this right now at this point. This should bring you into the fact that this is not just silly stuff. I understand very, very well now how body parts attach together. And as a matter of fact, I've got this, I'm getting ready to show all of this stuff at one time about Devil's Tower, about tendons. This is what tendons are. This is what we're looking at Devil's Tower. And all the other places where they have these huge columns, Giant's Causeway, I mean, it's everywhere, all around Iceland. Anyway, I have all of this stuff in this panel that I will be going over all of it. And the things that nobody has any clue about. And the bloody, they say, well, where's the body from Devil's Tower? Well, there it is right there. We're going to be getting into this deep, man. It's time to discuss the reality of the ancient world. Not just, these people were crazy, talking about giants, they're just crazy people trying to scare people. No. This stuff was recorded and historically documented and turned into comedy. Well, that ends. It has ended for me, I can guarantee you that. The things I found are stunning, and they were literally revealed to me. I didn't go out looking for this stuff. I woke up one morning, I said to my wife, I said, I feel like there's something in the woods calling my name. And I'm telling you, that's exactly the truth. I went out and I started looking around. I thought maybe I'd find an arrowhead or something, and before long I got giants in my hand, big, a fingertip this big. And I looked up giants, and the first thing that came up, and I'm not kidding you, almost the first thing that came up, it said, these things are for you to see and for others as a test, which exploded my neurons. And I says, whoa, where'd that come from? I'm typing, it just went away, never came back. And there's nothing on the internet that I can find with that series of words that fits together. These things are for you to see and for others as a test. Almost nobody passed the test. I was just stunned how the human mind can be so dismissive of what cannot be dismissed, and then become so arrogant and so nasty that it was presented in the first place. It just stunned me, and I'm still stunned to today. I see things may be changing a little bit, but boy, I'll tell you, there is no sweeping change, I can tell you that. Anyway, we're going to get into Devil's Tower, all of the details, because I found what I think I'm probably going to do in the future is put up videos. I maybe already told you this, but I'll put them up, and then whoever has an issue, address it in the comments, and then I'll go through the comments the next day and do another video saying, John said this, Bobby said that, Tina said da-da-da, or whoever. And I'll address those comments. So these are the comments I got from yesterday about Devil's Tower, and a lot of them were, it's a tree, it's a this, it's a that, it's a volcanic intrusion. Well, we're going to talk about that. But this one here is done for today. And these are the kind of things that they're here. And if you could just dismiss them, I have no respect for your scientific acumen. Oh, I don't want to see you, don't bring them around here. And that's our top universities. It's a disgrace, it really is. I hate to be the one to bring this to you, but somebody's going to have to say it, and everybody's scared. If you're going to school, or you have a career or a job, which I don't have any of that stuff anymore, you can't talk. You talk, you're done. It's the way it works. And it appears to me it's the way it's always worked, except in the ancient past, they actually had forums. They would sit and discuss these things in detail, and they would allow discussion. That is not allowed anymore. We live in a new era of totalitarianism, of mind control. And we don't need no mind control. We're just another brick in the wall, my friends. Okay, my friends, this is a human lung, and this is the other human lung. Now, this was DNA tested and CAT scanned and the whole 9 yards, and it is a human lung. And I am going to show you some anatomy on this that is not even understood by anatomists now. This flap down here, that flap is an investiture of that lung to hold it in. And then there's another one at the top. We're going to look at this in the microscope. This is the most detailed anatomy book I have ever seen, and it doesn't show that. And I have asked anatomists, autopsy anatomists, and they say, well, it's just part of the fascia. Well, they just recently discovered that all of this interstitium, it's called now, is a fluid-filled highway that goes through the whole body. So it's coming in through these layers of membrane here and being able to go out these other layers of membrane throughout the whole lungs to protect your lungs from invasion. Because right below this layer, this fabric layer right here, and you see that? That's this. That's these lobes of the lung, you know, more or less expanded, because that's what they have to do. They have to expand and contract. This is the latch. Nobody's ever known about this before. I'm not kidding you. It's on every single body part, because they have to be anchored into your body. It's anchored here and it's anchored here, so you can go flopping around this way and that way, but your lung always comes back to where it's supposed to be. We'll see this in a microscope, and we'll see this old bloody spot in a microscope. I took blood out of here. I drilled a little hole in there. And, you know, you don't need much. I drilled a hole deep enough so that I got way deep inside, so there was no contamination. It came back excellent quality, almost raw blood. When you see it in a microscope, you'll see it's virtually raw blood. Now, this is a left human lung. Right behind it is where the heart sits. The heart sits right behind that lung. This guy died in a flood, as all my mud fossils did. Here's another lung right here. This one has part of the pleura here eroded away, and now we're down into the lung, which is this. It's another left lung. It's flat as a pancake on the back. And that's what protected them. I have lungs in every state of decay. This one here is completely down, and all the alveoli are open. I had another one here that literally blood came out of where the alveoli was. And I'll show you this over in the computer. But this is bones, everything turned into stone because of the flood waters were hot. And they boiled everything, literally, and separated a lot of the organs from the rest of the body. The rest of the body just became mud. That's where all the red clay and mud came from, is the rest of the body parts. All right, these the ones with the good, what they call tunica. This is tunica. It's a wrapping, it's a coating, it's a fabric. That's it right there. That's about as good as you're going to get for a fabric to coat body parts and keep them separated as the flood waters subsided. Can you see that? Yes, you can. And then they dried out and became what we see now as stones. All right, now that latch at the bottom, they all have that body part, that latch. All right, one at the top, one at the bottom. I can show you in all of these, and I will. So let's get, as a matter of fact, you see it right there? You see that? Sometimes I don't know what you can see and what you can't see with the light. But that's that latch that comes around from the tunica, from the fabric, the pleura they call it, and it latched back here. All this whole thing was a latch. And then there was one at the top. You see the little dot at the top there? Everything in your body is anchored. All right, in the mud fossils, you're going to see all this detail. I mean, it's stunning, the detail that is in the mud fossils. And in the microscope, I can see all of these details, even in the small ones like this. But then I have big ones like this one over here that filled in with mud into the alveoli holes. And then, of course, I have the other lungs. I have them all over the place, tons of them. I have different feet. I have all kinds of crazy stuff. It's always been just ignored, and now it's totally ignored because they can't deal with it. Now, this is the way all your organs invest in your body. Can you see that? Let me come over here a little closer with this. All right, they all have to stay secure in your body. You may see stuff flashing across here. I don't know why something is interfering with the lights, but basically, this is the way we're organized inside of our body. Your lungs can't go floating down here and over there. Your heart's in the middle, pushing up and pulling back. You know, you have arteries, you have veins, and then you have all these organs. The blood filters through them. They all give and take. They secrete enzymes and hormones, chemistry basically, and that is only secreted because of the interstitium layer now, which has the bacteria built into it, which create the enzymes. The enzymes go out and deliver whatever's needed to whatever part of the body is needed. And then the liver cleans things up, the kidneys clean things up, your intestines and so forth break down the stomach and so forth, break down the food, and then you absorb the food. It's a very, very intricate system. And the lungs play a huge, huge part in that. Mostly it's gaseous transfers and so forth. But that gives you a lot of oxidation states. Well, there's a lot to the chemistry of the gases. Let's just go with that. Oh, okay, my friends, I apologize. I don't mean to get too deep into the details about all these different pressures and gases exchanges, different types of molecules on the different sides of the membranes, but I find it very fascinating. And the deeper you get, the more interesting it gets to me. But again, I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, so let's go to the microscope.